Hey Gay, welcome back. The Glock 17 first showed up back in 1982. At the time, a lot of folks gave it the side eye, a pistol with a plastic frame, and no hammer. Seemed odd, but turns out that little gamble paid off. It's now the most recognized and widely carried defensive sidearm in the world. And like anything that works, it spawned a whole mess of imitators. The Glock's plain Jane, no frills design, mixed with its don't quit on you dependability, made it a go-to for cops, ranch hands, and everyday folks looking to protect what's theirs. But nowadays, with some Glocks priced between $700 and $800, they're costlier than ever. Between the pandemic, politics, and all the other nonsense going on, some folks can't swing that kind of cash, or they can't even find one sitting on the shelf at their local shop. If that's where you're at, well, here's a few solid choices that ain't a Glock, but might just fit your hand and your budget just fine. Walther PDP Optics Ready. PDP stands for Personal Defense Pistol, which tells you straight off it's a modern-day semi-auto built with real-world protection in mind. What I like most about the PDP is it comes in a bunch of flavors, including a compact version. You've got choices when it comes to magazine size, and the barrels run 4 inches, 4.5, and 5 inches long. Now, the Walther PDP Optics Ready, that one caught my eye. With a 4.5-inch barrel, it strikes that just right balance for a full-size sidearm. The 3-dot sights come optics ready, and that rear one's adjustable for windage, letting you bring out its best by throwing on a good red dot. Some folks say those super terrain slide serrations are a touch on the aggressive side, but the grip and frame feel real natural in the hand, and the controls rock steady when you're shooting. When you pick up a Walther PDP, you're getting a factory backstrap, a beaver tail, and a pair of stainless steel magazines that hold 18 rounds apiece. Now sure, Walther's known for the storied PPU and that classic PPK guns with deep roots and history behind them, but this PDP, it laces up the boots and walks tall as a full-size pistol made for today's self-defense needs. Kid showing, the CZ P10C was CZ's way of throwing their hat into the striker-fired ring, which, truth be told, is a much bigger game here in the States. When they set out to build it, they pulled some of the best traits from their old school CZ75 lineup and gave them a modern twist. The P10C ships with a 15-round magazine made by Mekgar. Now, if you've been around guns a while, you know Mekgar ain't some fly-by-night outfit. They're the behind-the-scenes name stamped on a whole bunch of top-tier factory mags. Truth is, Mekgar builds some of the finest pistol magazines you'll ever run across. Full stop. When it comes to shooting, the P10C is a gem, just like most CZs. It runs smooth and stays flat in the hand. That trigger? For a striker-fired rig, it's mighty fine. You get a steady take-up, a clean break, and a solid no-miss-it reset. No real reason to mess with it out of the box. Recoil's nearly a ghost, hardly noticeable while you're shooting. Sure, it's there if you're paying close attention, but with a good grip and proper form, it's easy as pie to manage. All in all, that's what makes this one a real contender, up against the Glock, the Walther, and Smith & Wesson. SIG Sauer P320. Compact. The SIG Sauer P320 is one of those concealed carry pistols that folks keep coming back to, just a well-rounded, do-it-all kind of sidearm. It's the same pistol that edged out the Beretta APX to win the U.S. Army service contract, so you know it ain't just smoke and mirrors. The P320 is striker-fired, double action, and built from the ground up with no shortcuts taken. That slide's made of stainless steel, finished in nitron to shrug off rust and wear, and it's got a 3-point takedown system that makes it easy to break down and clean without fuss. The trigger's got a steady pull to it, not the smoothest on the market, a little gritty maybe, but reliable all the same. Now, some models come with contrast sights, but this one here's dressed with SIG-Lite night sights, which are real handy when the sun dips low and you're working in less than ideal light. While the compact version's built for self-defense, the overall frame's a bit roomier than most 9mm compacts, which ain't a bad thing if you've got bigger hands or want more grip. You've also got that M1913 rail built right in, and the frame's modular, so you can swap grips to fit your mitts just right. What's more, you can strip this thing down and switch it over to other calibers like the .40 Smith & Wesson or even the .45 ACP without too much trouble. Real practical, real adaptable, just like it ought to be. Smith & Wesson M&P M2.0. Coming in at a close second, we've got the American-built Smith & Wesson M and PM 2.0, a striker-fired, semi-automatic 9mm pistol that's made right here in the United States of America. First brought to the table back in 2005, the Smith & Wesson M and PM 2.0 GB pistols been a steady go-to for greenhorns looking for a straight-shooting, no-fuss piece they can trust right out of the box. Always riding close on the heels of the Glock 17, this full-size polymer pistol's got a lot of the same Bones front slide serrations, a stainless steel chassis running through the slide, and a clean braking trigger with a reset you can hear and feel. It does weigh a bit more than the G17, but that added heft gives you a solid grip and mighty fine ergonomics. Plus, there's plenty of wiggle room for tweaks if you're looking to turn it into a competition or sports shooter. Right underneath the barrel, there's a Picatinny rail just waiting for a light or laser, depending on what you've got in mind. The green and red fiber optic sights make getting on target quicker than a jackrabbit, and that low-bore axis keeps the muzzle settled down where it ought to be. That means quicker follow-up shots, faster sight recovery, and a bit of extra confidence when it comes to protecting what matters. Now, she holds 17 rounds, and while she may not be as well known as her smaller cousin, the M&P Shield, this full-size rig's built to run hard and shoot straight, just the way it should be. Springfield Armory XDM. Elite compact folks know Springfield Armory mostly for their Hellcats, but they've gone and given us another solid 9mm piece with the XDM Elite Compact. This here's a striker-fired pistol dressed in a tough-as-nails melanite finish, and it's got a grip safety that feels an awful lot like a 1911, only fitted to a modern-day self-defense rig. It's a mighty fine choice for civilian carry and comes ready to shoot right out of the box. Now, it's a bit blockier than a Glock, sure, but the grip's just right, not too big, not too small, and the texture gives you a good planted hold, especially for medium-sized hands. Taking it down for cleaning is simple enough, long as you remember to keep it cleaned and oiled now and then, like a good tool ought to be. The real gem here's the match-enhanced trigger assembly gives you a nice, clean break and a short, positive reset you'll feel in your bones. Thanks to its double and single action setup, you can ride with lighter pulls or cock the hammer between shots if that's how you roll. Some folks aren't keen on external safeties, but truth be told, everything's laid out where it ought to be. And those front and rear cocking serrations make running the slide smooth as creek water. Comes with the whole package too. 2 flush-fit mag base plates, 3 swappable back straps that fit your mitt like they were made for them, and a removable mag well that makes reloads quick as a blink. Canik TP9. If you're on the hunt for a wallet-friendly alternative to a Glock, you might want to give the Turkish-made Canik TP9 a hard look. The Canik TP9 and its kin have built a solid name for themselves, plain and simple, and they pack a whole lot of punch for what you're paying. Folks have gone so far as to call it a Glock killer. Some will even tell you it runs better than pistols, with flashier names stamped on the slide. Base striker-fired TP9s come with a polymer frame and swappable back straps, and they start around $350. Now, the optics-ready version runs about the same as a bone stock Glock, but it throws in a Shield Sights RMS2 red dot, already mounted and good to go. The TP9 lineup offers a handful of options, including one that's ready for a suppressor right out of the gate. This one's a real sleeper in the world of polymer pistols. It ships with 2 magazines, a holster, interchangeable back straps, and it's backed by a limited lifetime warranty. SIG Sauer P365 XL. Brought to market in 2017, the SIG Sauer P365 sure made a splash in the everyday carry crowd. It set off a whole string of smaller models like the P365 Nitron and the lean, snag-free P365 SAS. Now the P365 XL holds 12 rounds in a single stack frame that's thinner and trimmer than a Glock 43. SIG. Sauer didn't rush this thing. They gave that trigger plenty of work, redesigned it more than once until it settled into a clean, crisp break. Not unlike what you'd find on a Glock, but with smoother travel. Even with a dozen rounds on board, it feels just right enough punch to matter, small enough to ride easy. It's a top pick for concealed carry, and you won't have any trouble finding yourself a good inside-the-waistband holster for it. What stands out most for me on this P365 XL are them factory sights. SIG's X-ray night sights come bright and sharp, letting you get on target fast, even in the dark. So good, in fact, that you'll likely pass on the red dot. When it comes to upgrades, I'd say leave her be. Maybe toss on some new grips if you're picky, or run a 15-round mag if you're feeling like you might need it. Otherwise, it's trail ready right out of the box.